So Jake Payne, that bitch ass Uncle Tom house nigger to the corporate establishment. He's a fucking bald, white, short, homosexual man. Runs Page One Kentucky. Actually came from West Liberty, Kentucky. So West Liberty. He is a product of Kentucky education. I'm just thinking about these individuals. How do you create an individual like Jake Payne, which has a unique flavor, but he's a corporate whore? You know, he's a bitch. He's a slave to his paymasters. And so he's just paid to be a sensational, full-time, five-alarm drama queen bitch, and that's what he does, you know. So there's some value with the protest industry, but he's never going to solve anything, and his politics is wrong. So the Kentucky News, October 8th, 2013. I got several different stories here. I'm just going to rush through them all and get them documented, and you know, so many. I cannot believe, like, every fucking day I can find, like, just go through the news and find so much shit, okay, that happens in Kentucky. But October 7th, so yesterday, 2013, a man's visit to a bingo hall ended with his arrest for trying to play the game with phony bills. So he's got counterfeit money. David L. Haynes, 38 of Louisville, is at a bingo hall on 2500 block of Slevin when he tried to buy pool tabs with a $100 bill that appeared to be counterfeit. When confronted by an off-duty police officer working security, and again, the cop's name is not named. Who's the guy that chased this guy? Who's the one? You know, like, it doesn't matter, like, you know, if it's good or bad story. If something happened, something happened. Then, you know, if the guy is good, then print it up. Let the truth set the police free. But it's just some off-duty police officer working security, so I guess off-duty cops are allowed to chase anybody they want to chase, which makes no sense. If you're off-duty, you don't have the authority of a police officer. You're off-duty. You don't have that power no more. You know, you're a citizen just like everybody else. Eventually, dude's caught trying to climb a fence. So David L. Haynes is caught using counterfeit money. He's just printing money up, just like the Federal Reserve of our, you know, United States, the same way they do. If they need to pay their bills, just print some money up. That's what the David L. Hayes was doing, but he was screwing over a bingo hall, 2500 block. So I'm not sure if that's related to a church or not, so that would make it worse or better if it's not, right? Or I don't know. Here's another interesting thing. There's these doctors are using these stents, these cardiovascular stents, and they look like little needles, and they poke you and they open up your arteries. But I guess they're real expensive, and so the Department of Justice is probing into interventional cardiology and stenting that began surfacing in 2006. So they're checking all these doctors who's stenting people unnecessarily. They're sticking these needles in people's arteries when they don't have to, and I guess it's more expensive, so they be able to pad your bill. Earlier this month, according to this article, Bloomberg.com, needless stents alleged at Kentucky hospital amid 2-year probe by Peter Waldman, posted October 7th. So earlier this month, I guess in October, another Kentucky doctor, Sandish Patil, became the third U.S. cardiologist convicted on federal charges linked to doing needless stents. He was sentenced in U.S. District Court in Frankfort, Kentucky to 30 months behind bars after pleading guilty to a single charge of Medicaid fraud. So the Department of Justice going around convicting these doctors, you know, for using these stents. They're unnecessary stents. There's other Paulus and King's daughters also named in a civil lawsuit filed September 30 in Kentucky State Court, alleging that the cardiologist dramatically represented the extent of a patient's heart disease. So that's interesting. Doctors are getting busted for not, you know, doing what they're supposed to be doing. Here's another, October 7th. There's a man accused of dousing a woman with gasoline and threatening to set her on fire. This article by Joey Brown, Wave3.com, posted yesterday, 5:20 p.m., so in the evening. Louisville man doused the mother of his children with gasoline and threatened to set her on fire. She did anything to show him in a bad light in a domestic violence case against him, according to Louisville Metro Police. An arrest report states their children were asleep in another room when the incident happened on September 29th. Police say Anthony Mack, 40, of Louisville, and three unknown males entered the victim's apartment while she slept on her couch. The victim told officers after Mack woke her, he instructed the other men to search the apartment and that one of the men retrieved a kitchen knife from Mack, which he held as he sat across from her. So Anthony Mack's got this fucking kitchen knife. You know, he's not he's supposed to stay away from her for domestic violence anyways, and he's now, you know, in her house. He's with three other dudes. So he comes in with three dudes to terrorize his wife. And now, you know, since he's got caught, he was trying to scare her so that she wouldn't make him look bad in domestic violence, but now he looks, you know, like the psycho that he is. You know, that's I don't know what a person would do to push somebody to go to those extreme levels. You know, I'd really like to hear what he would have to say about all of this. So the police are alleging all this. So Anthony Mack, 40 years old, in Louisville, with three other men, entered the victim's apartment when she was sleeping on her couch. The victim told officers that Mack woke her, instructed other men to search the apartment, and one of the men retrieved a kitchen knife from Mack, and he held as he sat across from her. So he's got this knife while the other three dudes are searching the apartment. And then the victim said Mack threw gasoline on her from a beer can and said, "You're going to die tonight. I'm going to burn you." So this is the woman. This is the woman writing all this. And her name, along with the police, their names are being withheld. I can kind of understand her for like her protection, especially since, you know, this man's doing this. But why are the police being anonymous? There is a specific person that was in on this story. The media never covers. The media never tells who the police officer is. Just the police, and, you know, just the monolithic, the police. The whole force, the whole fucking force was there. All 1,000 Louisville Metro police officers were at this guy's house writing this report. The police said, all of them, every single one. This is not an accurate story. This is bad journalism. But I'm going to carry on reading anyways. It gives an indication to some element of truth to the system, right? He gets busted for terrorizing his wife, or his ex-wife. I guess it's his ex-wife. I don't even know if they're married. The mother of his children. Okay, so he's terrorizing the mother of his children, and, you know, we're all being terrorized by the police, right? Leviathan's crushing all of us. That's where the origin of all society's oppression comes from. The Leviathan. Thomas Hobbes' Leviathan, the one state. So the victim said Mack threw gasoline on her from a beer can and said, "You're going to die tonight. I'm going to burn you." So he had beer can, gas in a beer can. So he three other dudes, gas in a beer can. I don't know if he just thought of it that night or if this seems like there was some, you know, premeditation to all this. Eventually, the arrest report states Mack told the other men it was time to leave, and he told the victim that she was going with him too. The victim says she went outside with Mack, who asked her what she planned to do about his October 2nd domestic violence hearing in the case which she'd been a victim. Woman said Mack proceeded to tell her that people he has watching her would kill her if she said anything to make him look bad. So he's like, "I got people watching you." So these are all classic, you know, uses of a manipulative person. You know, you terrorize them. They only understand power and fear and control and exploitation. So you better do as I say, or else, you know, everything will turn against you. All my people been watching you, and like she ain't got friends, like her neighbors ain't on her side. And then he goes in there with three other dudes. It's kind of incredible that three other dudes would go with Anthony Mack to terrorize his baby's mother. So during the incident, $64 was stolen. So not only does this incident happen, he's got a knife, throws gas on her, tries to burn her. He also takes $60 from her. He's served with a no-contact emergency protective order on behalf of the victim on September 20th, 9 days before the incident. So this EPO was put on him, and then he does this. So I wonder if it's just like, oh, you know, the law says I can never ever see you, so damn the law. Mack was arrested on October 4th, charged with burglary. wanton endangerment, intimidating a participant in the legal process, violation of Kentucky EPO, DVO, terroristic threatening, and first-degree arson. This is one of the few times that I would say the LMPD seems to have got it right. I don't know. You know, like I said, I want to hear more from Anthony Mack's perspective. If you know, is this true? Is this how they present this? Because this really makes him look like a psychopath, just a fucking madman out of his fucking mind. And has that been how he's been the whole time? Was this just a one-time fluke? He was just pushed to the brink, or has he been a total fucking psychopath the whole relationship? And he says it's the mother of his children. I don't know how many children there are, so it's plural. And they said that he was in the house with him when all this went down. So, you know, that's fucked up. He's gonna burn, you know, his mother of his children, terrorizing her and shit. October 7th, yesterday, 4 p.m. Kentucky judge is reprimanded for comments made about victims in a sexual abuse case. An Eastern Kentucky judge, this is reported by the Associated Press, and the Associated Press is sort of like the monolithic police, you know. When the Associated Press puts something out, then it's just true. The Associated Press said it. Well, who wrote it? I don't know. The whole fucking Associated Press. Okay, who the fuck is the Associated Press? Associated Press are the stories that local newspapers, the Cardinal, buys because they can't fill in their own news hole with their own content, so they got to purchase news from outside wires. And so the Associated Press is usually pretty 100 with their reporting. But they're not above reproach. They're human like anyone else. So there should be a name that's credited with these reports. There's like an anonymous report. An Eastern Kentucky judge has been publicly reprimanded for comments he made about juvenile victims during the sentencing of adult male convicted of sexually abusing the students. The Kentucky Judicial Conduct... So he's abusing several students. It's not funny, it's just something else that he says later on. The judge is reprimanded for saying different, you know, for fucked up shit. Kentucky Judicial Conduct Commission. Okay, so remember this. The Kentucky Judicial Conduct Commission. They can go after judges. They, on Monday, issued the punishment of 39th Judicial Circuit Chief Judge Frank Fletcher of Jackson. I don't know if it's Jackson County or Jackson City. Probably Jackson City, Kentucky. So the Kentucky Judicial Conduct Commission issued a punishment. The commission found that Fletcher said the victims didn't look their age and that the teacher was not blind and only human. Fletcher also said the sexual encounters between the teacher and juveniles were consensual. So Fletcher seems to have took a position in the case. 8 months after sentencing the teacher to 7 years in prison, Fletcher granted shock probation in the case. Commission Chairman Stephen Woltz-Niezek concluded the comments showed bias or prejudice towards the teacher. Fletcher cooperated with the investigation. So he got punished. He doesn't say what he got punished for. Just a slap on the wrist or some shit, and publicly reprimanded. So that's his punishment. Don't ever do that again. But that is something. That's a break in the dam, and that's from the Kentucky Judicial Conduct Commission. So that's important to, if you know there's other conduct that's unbecoming, call the Conduct Commission. And the judicial branch. The judicial branch is the most tyrannical branch in Kentucky. So when the judicial branch doesn't do something, makes weird ass comments about some fucking creepy pervert, then you call the Kentucky Judicial Conduct Commission and they'll publicly reprimand them. They'll say he's a bad, that's not good. They'll say he's a bad man. Which, you know, it's not much, but it's something. So it's one mechanism of power. That's reported by Fox 11 WVAH.com. I'm carrying on with the older story about a Kentucky self-storage unit in Corbin, Kentucky. They found these bones inside this storage unit in Corbin, Kentucky. And Corbin, Kentucky, you want to remember, was the home of the race riots, 1917, 1919, somewhere around the 1910s. And late 1910s, and it's also the place where KFC was created, and the Moonbow, and there's some other things. But the missing self-storage, so you have, it could be Doris Ann Wood, who had vanished in 97 because, you know, her husband killed her. Robert A. Wood rented the unit until he died in May. He was questioned about authorities about his wife's disappearance 16 years ago, but nobody ever arrested him or said anything about it. They were discovered last week by Stephen Terry and his father after he purchased the contents at a Pier rental lien auction. Terry said he was sorting through items when he saw it look like a jawbone and ribs inside a rolled up yellow bag. The men notified the storage facility. More on the story coming up, but it is interesting here. This Louisville man recently wants to set his mother of his children on fire, and this man in Eastern Kentucky killed his wife 16 years ago.